Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive?
I am. Let's get into it.
Awesome. So today we're looking at this article from That's Life 24/7.
Okay.
It's called Change Your Life in 5 Steps, and it's by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
I like him.
Yeah, he's great. And it's all about like practical steps,
Yeah.
like how to unlock your potential and create real lasting change.
Ooh, that's what we like.
Yeah, sort of like a personal development cheat sheet.
I love it.
So what's interesting to me is that it's not just about forming new habits, but it's understanding the science behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Like how our thoughts and beliefs can really shape our reality, you know?
Yeah, I like that. So the first step is all about self-reflection,
Okay.
which sounds pretty basic, but Dr. Dispenza emphasizes something really interesting here. He talks about being brutally honest with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
about like where you are in life and where you want to be.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like really taking a hard look at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where understanding your why becomes super important. Yeah, like why do you want to change? What's motivating you?
This is where I always get tripped up. I start things with good intentions, but then I don't have a strong enough WHY, and I
Yeah.
totally fizzle out. It's like running a marathon with no training. Or like you don't even know why you're running.
I feel that.
Yeah. And actually, Dr. Dispenza suggests disconnecting from all distractions, like your phone,
Oh, wow.
your computer, everything.
It's tough these days.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But it makes sense because when we're constantly bombarded with all this stuff,
Yeah.
it's hard to hear your own thoughts. It's hard to connect with yourself.
It is. It's like all that noise kind of drowns out that inner voice.
Totally.
Right.
So we're not just going through the motions. We're connecting with the purpose behind our actions. Okay, so we've spent some time reflecting, exploring our WHY, and we're ready for the next step. What's step 2 all about?
Step 2. Okay, so step 2 is all about being present,
Yeah.
centering ourselves in the now, right? I used to think mindfulness was just like sitting on a meditation cushion for hours and hours.
Yeah. Totally.
But Dr. Dispenza, he has a much more practical approach.
Okay.
He actually says in the article, take some breaths and center yourself. When you center your attention into the present moment, you have more energy to create with.
I love that quote because I am the queen of mental multitasking.
Oh, yeah.
Always jumping between like past regrets and future worries. But when I am able to be present, even for like just a few minutes,
Yeah.
I feel so much more grounded and focused. So is there a scientific reason why being present helps us break free from old habits?
You know what? There is. So our habits are formed through repetition. It creates neural pathways in our brain.
Oh, interesting.
And when we're like stuck in the past or the future,
yeah.
we're actually replaying those old patterns in our mind.
Oh.
So we're strengthening those pathways.
Yeah.
But when we focus on the present moment,
Yeah.
we interrupt that cycle.
So it's like hitting the pause button on autopilot?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Giving your brain a chance to like create a new path. It's like
Yeah.
if you're walking through a forest and there's no path,
Yeah.
you start walking through the same way every single time. It's going to create a path, right? But if you're present, you can be like, wait a minute, I don't have to go that way,
That's such a good analogy. So we're breaking free from those old patterns. What's next on this roadmap to change?
Okay, so step 3. Step 3 is tackling those limiting beliefs.
Okay.
Those I can't and it's too hards
Oh, yeah.
that we tell ourselves all the time. And Dr. Dispenza doesn't just say think positive. He
Right.
says we have to like actively challenge these beliefs.
Yeah, because sometimes those limiting beliefs feel so ingrained in who we are.
They do.
Like, how do we even challenge that,
Yeah. And he says that we should ask ourselves questions like, is this belief actually serving me? Or is this even true? Or had I just been telling myself this for, years and years?
Yeah.
And then he has this incredible quote where he says, can I be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memories of the past?
Whoa, I like that.
Yeah.
It's like we're choosing a new narrative, a new way of seeing ourselves.
Exactly. And that's where those positive affirmations come in,
Right.
where you're consciously replacing those negative thoughts with positive statements
Right.
that affirm your capabilities and your potential.
So we're essentially rewiring our brains.
You got it.
Okay, so we're breaking down those mental barriers. I'm already feeling like a surge of possibility here.
I love it.
But it's almost like we need a clear vision of where we're headed, right?
Yeah.
And that leads us to step 4, which is all about visualization
Okay.
and mentally rehearsing the future that we want.
I love that. This is where things get really exciting.
I know. We're designing our dream life here.
We are.
So neurologically, what's happening when we visualize?
Okay, so remember how we talked about repetition, strengthening those neural pathways?
Yeah.
Visualization is like mental repetition.
Yeah. Oh.
So when you vividly imagine yourself, taking the actions and making the decisions that are aligned with your goals,
Yeah.
you're creating those neural pathways in advance.
We're like pre-paving the road to success.
Yes, exactly.
It's like we're tricking our brains into believing that we've already achieved it.
Kind of, yeah.
I love this. Okay, so we've reflected, we're present, we've shattered those limiting beliefs, and we're visualizing our dream future. What's the final piece?
The final step, and this might be the most challenging one,
Okay.
is letting go of the past.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is.
Because it's like we've done all this amazing work, but we're still carrying around this backpack full of all of the old hurts, regrets, all that stuff.
What ifs, all that.
Yes. And Dr. Dispenza has this one line that I just love. He says, "You can't go to the future holding on to the biology of your past." So what does that even mean? Like, is our past literally imprinted on our bodies?
It kind of is. Our thoughts, our emotions, even physical sensations, they create a biological imprint on our bodies.
Wow.
So if we're constantly replaying like past hurts or traumas, we're keeping those negative imprints active.
Wow. That's fascinating, but how do we let go?
Well, we have to become more conscious of what we're holding on to. What thoughts, behaviors, maybe even habits are no longer serving us.
Okay.
And once we shine a light on those things, then we can start to release them.
So it's about awareness and then taking action.
Exactly.
But I imagine that letting go can be super emotional.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if we're talking about like really deep hurts and traumas.
Yeah, and that's where self-compassion is so important.
Right.
We need to be kind to ourselves. Just like we would be kind to a friend who's going through something difficult.
That's such a good point. We're so hard on ourselves.
We are.
But we deserve that same gentleness that we give to others.
Absolutely. It's like giving yourself permission to heal and to move on.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I think it's really important to remember that this is a process.
It is.
Like, change doesn't happen overnight, right?
It doesn't. And it's not about being perfect either.
Yeah.
It's about progress.
Yeah.
Those little steps forward.
Totally. So be kind to yourself and celebrate those small victories.
Yeah.
And we'll be back soon to dive deeper into the next steps.
Sounds good. It's amazing how these 5 steps all work together.
Yeah.
They're like interconnected.
They are. You can't visualize a future that you want
Right.
if you're still holding on to all this baggage from the past.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you let go of the past, it's so much easier to be present and then visualize the future you want.
Totally. Yeah. It's all connected. So let's say someone is listening to us right now.
Okay.
And they're feeling inspired,
Yeah.
but also maybe a bit overwhelmed. Like, where do you even begin with all of this?
That's a lot,
Yeah.
I think the main thing to remember is change is a journey, not a destination.
Oh, I like that.
It's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about like constantly growing and evolving.
So it's okay to start small.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't have to like turn our entire lives upside down right now.
No. In fact, trying to do too much at once, that's like almost setting yourself up,
To fail.
Yeah. It's like trying to climb Mount Everest in one giant leap.
Right.
You got to take it step by step, find that rhythm.
I like that analogy. But what about when we inevitably stumble? Or like we fall back into those old patterns?
It happens.
It's so discouraging. It's like we haven't made any progress.
It's so normal. We're human. We're not robots.
Yeah.
Change isn't linear.
Right.
It's like, don't see those moments as failures. See them as opportunities to learn, to grow.
Yeah.
So maybe like ask yourself, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I do it differently next time?
So be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
It's a process.
It is. And speaking of mindset, Dr. Dispenza talks about how our thoughts literally create our reality.
Yes.
They do.
So can you explain that a little bit?
Our thoughts are so powerful. Like, they create emotions, and then those emotions influence our actions.
Yeah.
And then that shapes our experiences. So if we're thinking negatively all the time, well, we're going to experience negative emotions, which leads to negative experiences.
Yeah, well, you focus on expands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, when we shift our thinking to be more positive, more empowering,
Yeah.
it opens us up to new possibilities.
So it's not about like denying the negative.
Yeah.
It's just about shifting our focus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Being intentional with our thoughts.
Okay, but how do we change our thought patterns?
It takes practice,
Yeah.
like anything. But one of the best ways is to become more aware
Okay.
of your thoughts.
Yeah.
So like throughout the day, just notice what you're thinking.
Right.
Are you being negative? Are you being supportive? Are you being critical?
So be the observer of our own thoughts.
Yes, be the
Yeah.
observer.
And then you can start to change those patterns.
Got it. So it's like weeding a garden.
Yes. You
Exactly.
get rid of all the weeds.
Pull those weeds.
Yeah, to make room for all the pretty flowers.
Exactly. It doesn't happen overnight.
No, it's a process.
And remember,
Yeah.
you don't have to do it alone. There's lots of resources,
That's true.
books, podcasts,
Yeah,
therapists, Don't be afraid to ask for help.
I like that. Okay, so we've talked about shifting our mindset, but how do we actually put those ideas into action?
I'm glad you asked.
So tell me more about step 4, visualization
Yes.
and rehearsing the future.
Okay, so this is where we tap into the power of imagination to create the reality that we want.
So break it down for me. What is visualization?
Okay, visualization is like creating a mental picture
Okay.
of what you want.
Mhm.
And you really want to use all your senses.
Okay.
Sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, make it real.
Not just seeing it, but feeling it.
Yes, feeling
Yeah.
it. And the more emotion you bring into it.
The more powerful it's going to be.
Okay.
Because emotions are powerful drivers of action. So if you're really excited about your vision,
Yeah.
you're more likely to take action to make it real.
It's like we're creating a blueprint
Yeah, a blueprint.
for our subconscious mind to follow.
Exactly.
Love that.
And then that brings us to mental rehearsal,
Okay.
which is like taking visualization one step further.
Okay.
And you're actually practicing the actions or the behaviors that will lead you to your goals.
So it's like a mental dress rehearsal for your dream life.
Yes.
I love that.
You're walking through it. You're feeling the emotions.
Okay.
You're preparing yourself for success.
So we're not just hoping for the best.
No.
We're preparing ourselves for the challenges
Yes.
and the opportunities that come with that.
And the more you practice,
Yeah.
the more confident you'll feel when you get there.
It's like training for a marathon.
Exactly.
You don't just show up.
You got to train.
Yeah.
Visualize yourself crossing that finish line.
Yeah. Okay, so we're training our minds and our emotions to handle the challenges and the opportunities that come with going after our dreams. But what about when that past creeps in,
Yeah.
tries to sabotage our efforts?
It happened.
And that brings us to step 5,
Yeah.
letting go of the past.
Ooh, big one.
This is a big one.
It is.
It feels almost like a prerequisite to
It is.
truly stepping into our power.
Yeah, it's the most challenging.
Why is it so hard to let go of the past, though?
Our brains are wired to remember the negative stuff
Oh, really?
more than the positive stuff.
Why?
It's a survival mechanism. It's trying to protect us from making the same mistakes.
So even though we know, like, logically, that it's not helpful to dwell on the past,
Yeah.
our brains are working against us.
Kind of, yeah.
But we can retrain our brains.
We can.
You
We
will?
can. And we can choose to create new neural pathways
Okay.
that support our growth and our well-being.
So how do we start rewriting those old stories and create a new narrative?
I'm glad you asked. Mindfulness is great
Okay.
because when we're focused on the present moment,
Yeah.
we're not thinking about the past.
So we're interrupting those patterns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're creating space for new possibilities.
So when we start to dwell,
Yeah.
we notice it,
Notice it.
and we come back to the present moment.
Come back to the now.
Yeah. It's also important to challenge the stories that we tell ourselves about the past.
Yeah, those narratives.
Their narratives, yeah.
Because sometimes those stories are based on old information or limiting beliefs.
So it's like, is the story still true?
Yeah. Is it serving me?
Yeah.
If not, get rid of it.
Rewrite it.
Rewrite it.
Yeah. It's like we're reclaiming our power to choose who we want to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're back, and I really want to really dig into this whole letting go of the past thing.
Yeah, it's so important.
It is, and it's hard.
It
It's
is.
something I think we all struggle with, It's like we've done all this work, we're present, we've gotten rid of those limiting beliefs, we're visualizing, but then we have all this baggage from the past.
You're totally right.
Like we're trying to run a race, but we're dragging this anchor.
It's a great analogy.
So how do we actually let go? It feels so abstract.
Well, there are some things you can do. Journaling is a good one.
Okay.
Like writing down your thoughts and feelings,
Yeah.
especially those related to past experiences, it can be really cathartic.
I can see that.
Yeah. It's like you're getting it out of your head
Okay.
and putting it on paper.
So we're acknowledging those feelings,
Yes.
and then, I don't know, somehow that helps us release them.
It does. Like, just acknowledging them can sometimes be enough.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. To, like, lessen their intensity.
Dr. Dispenza doesn't really talk about forgiveness in the article,
Hey,
but it seems like that plays a role in letting go.
you're right.
What do you think about that?
Forgiveness is huge.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Forgiving yourself. Forgiving others.
It's hard, though. Sometimes it feels impossible.
Absolutely.
How do we even approach that?
You know, it's important to remember that forgiveness is a process.
Okay.
It's not like a one-time thing.
Right.
It takes time. It's about choosing to let go of those negative emotions, little by little.
So does that mean that we're condoning?
No, not at all. Whatever happens.
It's about letting go so you can move on.
Okay, yeah. So it's about us, not about them.
Exactly.
You know? But how do we forgive when it's, like, really hard?
Well, sometimes it helps to try to understand,
Understand.
Yeah, like why did that person do what they did? Can you see it from their perspective?
It's tough.
It is. But sometimes it helps to remember that everybody's going through something.
Right, they have their own stuff.
Yeah, and sometimes that leads to, them hurting other people.
So forgiveness is about us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a gift we give to ourselves.
Exactly. Because holding on to anger and resentment, it just hurts you. Yeah, keeps us trapped. Exactly. Forgiveness is about choosing peace over pain.
I like that.
Yeah.
Freedom over being trapped.
And, letting go.
Yeah.
It's a continuous thing.
Right.
We're always going to have to come back to this.
It's a practice.
It is a practice.
And the more we practice, the easier it gets.
It does.
This has been such a great deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I have so many new tools to create real change,
I love it.
And Dr. Dispenza's 5 steps are so powerful.
They are.
I'm ready to go out there and put them into practice.
Me too. And remember,
Yeah.
you can create the life you want.
Yes.
You just have to believe in yourself and take that first step.
That's such a good reminder. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
And that you feel inspired to create some positive change in your own life.
You got this.
Until next time, keep diving deep.